Michael, come to the door.
No, you don't have a warrant. You need to leave.
I don't need a warrant to talk to you.
The consensual contact is declined.
This is not a consensual contact. This is an investigative detention. Come to the door.
Imagine if cops showed up at your front door and they banged on the door, demanded that you come outside and answer their questions. Why? Because the contractor working on the house next door told them that you yelled at him and you hurt his feelings. Knowing your rights, that the police can't just stand on your front porch, detain you, force you to answer their questions, shout things at you without your permission, you tell them to leave. You even call the cops on the cops.
I received your message, Michael. I'm not going anywhere and I'm not trespassing, so come to the door.
You actually are trespassing. You guys are both dismissed. Thank you.
Okay, absolutely.
I mean, they don't have a warrant and they don't have your permission, right? But even though the courts have said that this violates your constitutional rights, what if the cops just don't care?
Can you turn the doorbell off?
Ready?
Yeah.
We're not going anywhere, Michael. Come to the door.
This footage was submitted by Michael. This is his house that you will see in this video. This happened in Coolidge, Arizona. It involves the Coolidge Police Department, and it happened back on October 17th of 2025. These police officers were dispatched, quote, in reference to a disturbance. Now here's what Michael said happened. There's a contractor who was doing construction work on the home next door. He noticed that the construction work was starting to encroach on what he believed was his property. And so he had a conversation over his wall with the contractor on the other side, and that escalated into an argument. There was no physical assault. There was no threatened physical assault. It was just an argument. Apparently that hurt the contractor's feelings, and so he called the police. I do have the 911 and dispatch records. The officers who arrived, they were just told it was a disturbance with a neighbor who was, quote, yelling. There was no indication that anybody was ever in any physical danger, that any assault had occurred, or that it was ongoing at all. It was just allegations that a neighbor had yelled, like past tense. So the cops arrive and they talk to the neighbor first.
Actually, look at my hands. You got me heated, bro. Oh. Okay, yes, sir.
This is your house?
No, I work for the guy that bought it. I'm
Okay.
yeah, the owner. He lives in Queen Creek. But I called him and let him know also.
Okay, no worries.
Or his assistant, actually.
So this isn't your property?
Not my
But
property.
he came onto this property?
Yep, right there on this side of the wall. Yes, sir.
Okay, and you were saying, when you were saying, he's like, what, we got a problem, you were doing a motion like this, like, was he flaring up to you?
Yeah, hell yeah, bro. Him, man, if that wall wasn't there, they would have charged me, bro. Him and the younger dude, whoever the hell he was.
So at first, the contractor alleges that Michael actually trespassed onto the lot that he's working on. And then answering the cop's question, he said, yeah, the neighbor was being really aggressive. If that wall wasn't between us, then something might have happened. Basically admitting that Michael was at all times on his side of this wall. Not that these cops seem to care, as they already refer to Michael as the primary aggressor and are asking all sorts of leading questions to this guy, almost as if designed to incriminate Michael and not caring about the other side of the story.
They were saying that what they can't look over here, or they can't say anything across the wall. I mean, you guys can do whatever you want. I'm not saying that you guys can't do anything.
Someone's calling you.
And
My boss calling me.
The primary aggressor was older.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Hello.
And actually, it seems that these cops know Michael. They apparently had prior interactions with him, and I guess they don't like him. It seems like they've already predetermined that Michael did something wrong, and they march over to his front door and they start pounding on the door.
Yeah. It's cameras everywhere.
Chicken.
Yeah. He knows he's wrong. He's not gonna answer the door.
I'm gonna grab this phone.
Okay.
I did that.
Did that go through?
No, I didn't hear you.
I know they're here. I'll leave it.
Yeah.
Coolidge Police Department, come to the door.
So far, the officers have walked up to the front door of this house. They've banged on the door. They've rang the doorbell, but the occupants of the house have not answered the door. Meanwhile, the contractor yells over to them, complaining that the occupants of the house have now called his boss. And they told his boss a completely different story than he was telling the police.
Hey, you just called. They've been blowing my boss up right now and telling my boss a whole different story. I'll tell you guys right now when you guys are done.
Okay.
And that's when the cops mentioned that they know who this guy is, that they have a 21 on him, whatever that is, and that at least one of them had received rude messages from this homeowner. And so what do? They continue to ring this guy's doorbell repeatedly, multiple times, and continue to bang on the door, despite the fact that the guy clearly doesn't want to answer the door.
We definitely have a 21 for him. So I've gotten the rude emails and all that craziness.
We're getting slammed, dude.
Yeah.
Coolidge Police!
Go ahead.
They've rang the doorbell now so many times that Michael apparently just turns the doorbell off. Then they realize that he turned the doorbell off, so what do? They continue to do it more. And the one cop just obnoxiously continues to pound and pound and bang on the front door of this house.
Simple words. You can contact like that. Since he's not opening the door.
You hear that? You turned the doorbell off?
Did he?
Yeah.
We're not going anywhere, Michael. Come to the door.
You can turn it off for broke it for me so much.
We'll get annoyed at the door. All we have is this phone.
Yeah.
We can't.
You want to forward the charges then? Yeah. So do I.
I'm gonna subpoena this video.
Oh, he so already deleted it.
I can subpoena the company.
Yeah.
Just because he deletes it doesn't mean they don't have it.
Yeah.
If he was assaulted, that'd be different.
Clearly, the officers aren't taking the hint. They're not leaving. So Michael then actually calls 911 on the cops and advises them that these officers are at his door, that he does not wish to speak with them, that they are trespassing, and he wants them to leave. So dispatch relays this to the officers, and their response to that is that they're not going anywhere. They are refusing to leave, and the one officer tells dispatch to tell Michael that they are not going anywhere.
Can you advise him I will sit out here all night until he comes and speaks with me? 10-4, I'm going to continue to make contact with you. I received your message, Michael. I'm not going anywhere and I'm not trespassing, so come to the door.
You actually are trespassing. You guys are both dismissed. Thank you.
Okay, absolutely.
Stop touching my property. You guys are dismissed.
Come outside and talk
You're
to
dismissed.
us.
No, I'm not going to
We're
do
investigating the situation.
Bye.
Come outside and talk to
Goodbye.
us.
Since the officers have been there, pretty much what they've been doing is one of them is just obnoxiously pounding on the door and trying to get Michael to come out of the house, and the other one is sort of just collecting evidence. He's listening inside the house to hear what he can hear, and he's trying to look through the windows. He's essentially gathering evidence. So finally, Michael opens his interior door and tells them to leave, that they're trespassing, to go away. And the one cop who's collecting evidence basically mentions that, oh man, he smells marijuana when the door opens.
Oh man, it was the pot as soon as you open the door.
So these two cops are at the front door. They don't have a warrant. They're refusing to leave. They finally made contact with Michael. Michael tells them to leave. They still refuse to leave. But Michael isn't giving in. He's still not coming out.
He's on the phone with someone telling them we're trespassing.
I didn't know if it was trespassing.
Yeah. Oh, someone just told him we're not trespassing. He goes, that's not true.
Michael, come to the door.
No, you don't have a warrant. You need to leave.
I don't need a warrant to talk to you.
The consensual contact is declined.
This is not a consensual contact. This is an investigative detention. Come to the door.
Is this a consensual contact? The officer here actually denies it, but for his sake, he better hope that he's wrong, because only a consensual contact here would be legal. As the Supreme Court held in the 1980 case of Payton versus New York, absent valid consent or exigent circumstances, i.e. an emergency actively occurring, law enforcement may not cross the threshold of a residence without a warrant. Not to search, not to arrest. So even if a police officer has probable cause to make an arrest of somebody for some crime, Payton versus New York says, sorry, you have to come back with a warrant. It doesn't matter what the contractor next door told you. The contractor could have recorded a crime on video, showed it to the cop, and this cop still could not legally arrest Michael without a warrant, much less detain him because he's in his home, at least not without a warrant. Does this apply equally to the front porch of a home? Yes. As the Supreme Court held in the 2018 case of Collins versus Virginia, police cannot enter the curtilage of a home, which is the area close to the home that's treated as a part of the home, such as an enclosed yard, garage, driveway, or, as here, porch, to search a vehicle parked within the curtilage of that home without a warrant, even where they have probable cause. Pretty much all the federal courts, including the Ninth Circuit, which applies here, have held that this is common sense and easily understood that an area an arm's length from one's home is curtilage. Here, this encounter is taking place directly at the front door on the front porch of Michael's home. So this is both on the front porch and also an arm's length from Michael's home. So there can be no doubt that this is taking place within the curtilage of this home. Police officers in Coolidge, Arizona, just like every other town in America, have no special right to trespass on your property and just to remain there outside your front door until you come out of your house. Though they seem to be always ignorant of this across the country, as I recently featured in the 911 butt dial case from Owensboro, Kentucky.
We can smell marijuana. That still gives us the right to come in and search for that, okay?
Not without a warrant.
No, it does. I don't have to have a warrant when I can smell it.
Although officers did not enter the home, the Owensboro Police Department acknowledged the officers were incorrect in stating they could enter the residence without a warrant to conduct a search.
Or after I did a video on this, the city came out publicly and apologized for violating the homeowner's constitutional rights in the same way that's occurring here. So what can they do? All they can basically do is what's called a knock and talk. The so-called knock and talk exception to the warrant requirement isn't really an exception at all, but it does allow police to enter into the curtilage of a home to ask questions of its occupant, precisely because that's no more than any private citizen might do. So while police, like the nation's Girl Scouts and trick-or-treaters, can approach a home to speak with its occupant, nothing in the implied license to have that consensual interaction suggests that a visitor can restrict the movements of a homeowner next to his own home any more than a Girl Scout could force the resident to buy her cookies or to hand out candy at Halloween. The fact is, there is no right to detain, arrest, or otherwise seize the homeowner implied by the license to perform a knock and talk. To the contrary, that implied license may be revoked at any time by the homeowner. Here, there can be no disputing the fact that Michael revoked any implied consent for these cops to engage in a knock and talk.
I received your message, Michael. I'm not going anywhere and I'm not trespassing, so come to the door.
You actually are trespassing. You guys are both dismissed. Thank you.
Okay, absolutely.
He asked them to leave, and he even called the cops on them. Also remember his no soliciting sign. There might even be a case to make that Michael didn't even have to revoke their implied license because it never existed due to the no soliciting sign. Though the case for that would be stronger if the front curtilage of his home were fenced and gated, with the no soliciting sign being up at the closed front gate. Not that these cops would have cared anyways, though.
You turn the doorbell off?
Ready?
Yeah.
We're not going anywhere, Michael. Come to the door.
So let's continue.
You can't write warrants for it. Can we?
I don't think anyone will sign it. A warrant for discount?
Arrested!
Come out and talk to us. We need to figure out what's going on.
What did she say? He told her that he spoke to Fitzgibbons and the chief and that we need to talk to his lawyer.
You are trespassing!
That's probably he told them they're not trespassing.
Yeah.
I'm calling it.
Okay.
Stop walking on the rocks. It's a violation of general orders. Only walk on the common ground. Please leave my property. This is illegal. You're standing on my rocks, dude. That's a violation of general orders. Get off my rocks. Get off my... Tell that man to get off my rocks, and you leave. You're both trespass.
Yeah, he's not going to have just not charges on it. I want to take it.
And we have multiple counts now.
Get off my rock! You get off my rock! Get off my rocks now, dude! You get off my rocks, you're gone! Trespass! Bye! Bye!
I'm going to inform him through his door that he will be issued a court date. Fantastic. Alright, good. Alright, Michael, just for information, I'm going to be forwarding disorderly conduct charges against you. You heard me. I will be forwarding disorderly conduct charges against you to the city. Okay, so be expecting a court date in your mailbox. Or you can come out and talk to me and we can figure out what was going on.
Shut the door.
Have a nice day.
Okay. Let's go.
All right, so let's recap. The neighbor's contractor calls the cops, accuses Michael of yelling at him. The cops arrive. They already don't like Michael because he sent them some mean emails before, and so they walk onto his property in order to question him. They walk onto his property just like Girl Scouts or trick-or-treaters would enter, up the front walk, knocking on the front door. They have no warrant, there is no actively occurring emergency requiring them to rush in without one, nor do they have Michael's consent to enter, obviously.
You actually are trespassing. You guys are both dismissed. Thank you.
Okay, absolutely.
The only so-called right the officers have is the same implied license to engage in a consensual encounter, just like Girl Scouts. But then the cops don't act like Girl Scouts. They obnoxiously pound on the door for extended periods of time. They ring the doorbell over and over and over again and demand that Michael come outside, claiming that he's being detained and threatening criminal charges against him, which, by the way, never arrived. They never did charge him with anything. Michael expressly demands that they leave and he trespasses them from the property, even calling the cops on them. But the cops refuse to leave, and their superiors don't require them to leave, at least not for quite a while. They do this despite the fact that the Ninth Circuit has said that these officers are violating the Constitution by refusing to respect the Fourth Amendment protections of the home. I mean, clearly, they do not care at all about constitutional rights. Why? Because unless someone is watching who knows better, they generally just do what they want to do and they get away with it. But now I've seen it and I've shown it to you. For reasons that I have already explained in detail, they have no defense to this. They violated this man's rights, and the question is, what will they do now? Will they do like they did in Owensboro, Kentucky, and publicly apologize and order their officers to undergo additional training in constitutional rights? Or will they gaslight their public and claim that they did nothing wrong? I guess we'll see, but we will only see if you help put this footage in front of as many eyes as possible. You can help push this footage in the algorithm by commenting and discussing the video, as well as by liking it and sharing it. And if I hear of any response from them, I will update, and you can follow along by subscribing both here and at the blog at thecivilrightslawyer.com. You can follow me on X at JohnBryanESQ. Remember, our rights don't end where your fear begins. Freedom is scary. Deal with it.